That was a nice move by Pipkins, taking it right to the rack himself. Wide open three, left wing, and it's good. Nylon, the dunk likes that, Matt.
A three from the right side, and it's good! The one, Pipkins, the man, yet again.
Good morning, and welcome to The Flex. I'm Matt St. Jean.
And this is Joe Howie.
And welcome to our weekly Sunday show, Big East and Brunch. We're going to run you through the Big East and our thoughts. This is the first week. We don't have a lot yet, so we're just going to go through this quickly so you have an idea what's going on in the conference. We're going to start at the top with Butler. The Butler Bulldogs have played just one game so far, a 4-point win over Western Michigan. Butler's a team that a lot of people were low on coming into this season because we weren't entirely sure the caliber of guard play you were going to see there. We weren't sure with the quality of recruits coming in what exactly you were going to get from the Bulldogs. And starting out with a 4-point win over a team like Western Michigan does nothing to reassure people that Butler is going to be a top team in the Big East.
Yeah, Matt, I was actually a little underwhelmed by this game. I was watching those final 5 minutes. Butler really kind of snuck away with the win here. It came down to a foul and a couple of missed free throws by Western Michigan, and Butler, tippy-toeing out of that one with the W. But again, that goes back to coaching, and, Laval Jordan did a great job. He's been there. This is an experienced coach with a high-level team in a power conference. They were rightful in winning, but a very sneaky win for the Bulldogs. Up next, we have the Georgetown Hoyas. They barely won against UMBC too, often trailing by double digits at points in that game. This was a game that I actually thought UMBC was going to win just because of Georgetown's inexperience, but Patrick Ewing was able to string together a couple of good runs, especially late in the second half, and the Hoyas got the win. Matt, what are your thoughts on this game?
I think this is about what you expected. Georgetown is a team that is lacking in talent overall. And this is a result that's closer than it should be between a Big East team and a school like UMBC. Obviously, everybody knows them for what they did to Virginia. Side note, Virginia did it again, losing to a low-ranked San Francisco this weekend. But Georgetown, I think you'd hope for them to do a little bit better. But they are who we thought they were. Not a very good team at this point, and likely to be in that bottom tier of the Big East. Now switching gears from the bottom of the Big East back to the top, Marquette. Maybe not the top with Marquette, but there could be a contention for
Easy.
it. People are talking about
Easy.
Marquette 2-0 to start the season, wins over Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and Eastern Illinois, two perennial powerhouses there. My big takeaway here, Dawson Garcia is pretty good. I didn't have a massive amount of time to check out Marquette, but from what I could see, Garcia is fitting in very well. Theo John looks to still be Theo John, and we're still trying to get an idea exactly of what we have out of DJ Carton, but he certainly does not look to be a bad player.
Yeah, from what it looks like, Marquette had two high-scoring wins. It seems like their guys clicked pretty well on offense, but then again, quality of the opponents you got to take a look at. They're not playing Big East basketball yet, but for Wojciechowski and his squad, these are two good wins to, get comfortable in the flow of your offense against an inferior opponent. It'll be interesting to see this team, convert to a tougher style of play with more defensive opponents. But again, they're 2-0, so good for them, good for Marquette. Now transitioning to Providence, as we know, 1-0 against the Fairfield Stags. We go into them much more in depth in our post-game interview, but Providence played inside out with Nate Watson, who put up a career-high 23 points and 10 rebounds. Matt, any quick thoughts on the Friars?
I think this is what you would expect other than a slow start in that game. The Friars dominate against a worse team. Nate Watson was the star. David Duke looks good. AJ Reeves looks good. Still waiting for a little bit more on Jared Bynum, but he had a very good first game as well. If you want our more in-depth opinions, obviously you're Friar fans, and make sure you listen to our post-game show from that Fairfield game if you have not already. Moving down the list, it's St. John's and the Red Storm, 2-0 to start this season. A win over St. Peter's by 1 point coming right down to the end. And then a pretty solid victory over a decent LaSalle squad. I was a little bit surprised to see a game against St. Peter's come down to the end, and I really thought St. John's was going to lose that one. But I think the story for them is it's the guard play. Vince Cole, Posh Alexander. Posh Alexander is the freshman coming in. Both of these guys look to be very good. I don't think St. John's is going to be at the top of the Big East, but with two guards like that, they're going to make things challenging for a lot of their opponents.
Yeah, I agree, Matt. And, I don't know if it's either St. Peter's is a lot better than people expected or St. John's had the first game jitters. That game was a little shocking. 1 point win. Really don't know how to react to that because I just wasn't expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
Their game against LaSalle, 82-65, was much more comfortable for them. They looked a little more like themselves. I'm sure Mike Anderson had some choice words for them in the locker room after slipping past St. Peter's. But again, it comes down to the guard play for them. They are going to be a scary backcourt come conference play. Moving down the line, we have UConn posting a 2-0 record on the season, beating Central Connecticut State 102-75 and Hartford 69-57. What you see here is what you got. Two good wins for the Connecticut Huskies. I mean, it looks like they're getting into the groove of their offense early here, blowing out Central Connecticut and winning comfortably over Hartford. Dan Hurley's got his guys doing what he wants them to do. Book Knight is playing like a star and is leading this roster.
Yep, certainly a talented squad there. Things were hairy early against Central Connecticut. That game was a little bit closer at the half than you anticipated. I think the real shocker for me is Isaiah Whaley. I don't think many expected a lot from him. He didn't have a great year last year as the center. He's only 6'8", or is a forward, however they're going to play him there. But he's looked good so far, averaging 11 points and 8.5 rebounds over those two games. And James Bouknight is James Bouknight, 19 points a game over that span and 6 rebounds a game. We know that they're talented. We know that they can play well against bad teams. The thing that we're still waiting to find out at this moment is if they can play well against good teams, but we're going to have to wait a little bit on that until they start playing in Big East play. Next up, you know them, you hate them, the Villanova Wildcats. Two relatively close games to start the season against Boston College and Arizona State, but in typical Jay Wright fashion, closing out both of those. And against Arizona State at times, they looked unstoppable. I know we were down on Jeremiah Robinson Earl at points in our season preview, but I mean, he certainly looks like the real deal so far. Your thoughts, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, 2-0 is expected of them. I think what's not expected of them is winning both games by 9. I think when you think of this Villanova team, you think they're going to blow out opponents like Arizona State and Boston College. So either Arizona State and Boston College are better than expected, or Villanova underperformed these first two games. But again, it doesn't matter. They're 2-0. I was a little surprised to see the margin of victory for them, though, especially that Boston College game in the second half. BC led by as many as 9 points. I thought Micaiah Ashton Langford was going to take the Eagles to the victory there.
Yeah, we thought we saw the former Friar there doing some good stuff.
Yeah, he was playing a lot better than he ever played for us. He still likes that little drive and throw it in the air, hope I get fouled move. But hey, you put up a double-digit game again against Villanova. Good for you, man.
Yeah.
Now moving down the line to what is another interesting team. This first week of basketball, the Xavier Musketeers posting a sheepish 3-0 record. And I say sheepish because, listen to this, their first game against Oakland, 101-49. Yeah, Musketeers firing on all cylinders, doing fantastic from beyond the three-point arc. Game number 2, the next day, 51-50 against Bradley. I mean, not everything was firing on all cylinders that game. And then yesterday, Xavier 76, Toledo 73. I mean, right now it's the tale of two teams because on one hand you got game 1, you're blowing out an opponent by more than 50 points. The next two games you win by the smallest margins of victory. Matt, this team, they're an enigma.
They are. I think I'm gonna mention the weirdest stat from them. Obviously, 101 points in your first game, dominant performance. you have 50 less points in your next game, just 51 against Bradley. Now, of course, your average between 51 and 101 is 76 points. They're averaging 76 points per game through the first 2 days. So what do? They come out against Toledo and then score exactly 76 points. I know we've heard about regression to the mean, teams coming out and playing all over the place, but coming back down to average. That is the weirdest regression to the mean I've ever seen. Talk about the team for just a moment. It's really a three-headed monster with two sophomores, Zach Fremantle and Kiki Tandy, both playing very well. Paul Scruggs also playing very well. Outside of those three, the Musketeers need somebody to step up. We're going to skip down the standings a little bit. Creighton and DePaul still yet to play. I believe still shut down because of COVID. I also believe Butler is shut down because of COVID right now. We didn't mention that at the top. So we'll skip over Creighton and DePaul for now. We still don't know. We're still with our preseason. And we're going to go down to Seton Hall, the only team in the Big East with a loss right now. A loss at Louisville by 1 point, and I know Bryce Aiken got hurt in that one. So that's probably the big story. I know it's a loss, but for me, going on the road to Louisville and having the best player on your team and your not your Marcus Howard, your Miles Powell, excuse me, replacement, get injured and to still put up a good game, that's an accomplishment. I'm excited about Seton Hall basketball this year.
Yeah, that's not a bad loss for them. That's it's just not a bad loss. You're playing another power conference team, a quality opponent, and you lost by 1 point on the road. You're not going to get smacked on the wrist too hard come Selection Sunday for this one. It was a good game, and like you said, their best player got hurt. So, I mean, expect them to bounce back against Rhode Island, but again, that's not a bad loss for them, not at all.
No, I think Ike Obiagu is a little bit of a small spot there. He was not as good as a lot of people were anticipating, but Mamu, Shavar Reynolds, Jared Roden, Takal Molson, and Miles Kale all came to play on the road. And that's a group you can win with. Bryce Aiken figures everything out, gets healthy. That can be a very good team. Joe, any last thoughts on this first week, not even 1 week of Big East action?
It's good to be back. I mean, I haven't felt this satisfied in my evenings in a very long time. You know, you get off work and you just flip on the TV and you search for a Big East game. So fantastic to have them back. And I think, not having, well, I'd like to be at the Dunk to watch a lot of these Friar games, but having the ability to watch them all from the comfort of your own home is not too shabby either, especially given the college basketball drought from last spring. So good to be back. I expect some more competitive Big East play as things ramp up over the next couple weeks.
Certainly, we can't wait for more basketball, and I hope you can't wait for more of us. This has been Big East and Brunch. You can hear us every Sunday morning. I'm going to recap the weekly Big East action and make sure to follow us during the week for your Friar pregame and postgame shows. We'll have all kinds of stuff for you during the season. But for Joe Howie, I'm Matt St. Jean. This has been Big East and Brunch from The Flex. Follow us on Twitter at The Flex Hoops, and thanks for listening.